So, hello everyone. How are you? I'm Vrijraj, and here I'm today. I'm going to talk about AMP and AMP stories in the web platform. So, how are you today? And I hope you are safe and taking care of yourself and your friends and family. Yeah. So you can share your excitement in the comment section, and then we'll start the session. Yeah, so I'll start. So, yeah, hello everyone. Good evening, and my name is Vrijraj, and I'm Google Developer Expert for Web Technology and Firebase, and also I'm leading GDG Jalandhar community in Punjab region. And today I'm going to talk about AMP and AMP stories in the web platform. Basically, it's a Instagram type of stories you can create for the web platform, and you can share. So I'll talk about little bit about myself. As you know, like I'm GD and GDG organizer. I'm working on PWA, Firebase, AMP, Google Cloud, and Google Chrome platform. And also I'm running a YouTube channel. Name is Tech Ferment. And here is my Tech Ferment YouTube channel URL. You can check out the videos on various web developer technologies. And in this sessions and the workshop, I'll talk about first is basic web fundamental, and then we'll deep dive into the web AMP and AMP stories. And then third part is hands-on session. So if you have any questions, you can ask your questions in the chat section. So let's start. So like what is a web? Web is just like as a informational system where we can send the documents. Documents can be anything. You can share media file, audio file, maybe HTML file, CSS file, JavaScript file over the network. Maybe you can use local area network or you can use World Wide Network. It's totally up to you. And if I talk about web fundamentals, so we have three terminologies. First one is website. Website is just like as a collection of web page. So we can create a web page with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And each web page consists of, let's say, picture, audio file, media file, text file, or maybe HTML code. And each website have their specific entry page, which is also called as the name of your website. So here is an example, let's say google.com, twitter.com, facebook.com. And as I told you, like you can create your website with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, where HTML provides the structure of your web page. And you can design your web page with the help of CSS. And the third one part, like if you want to add some additional functionalities, like you want to add some actions on the button, or you can perform some actions, you can hide some div element, you can use JavaScript. And the second part is like you can create a website with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, Now you need a browser. Browser is just like as a software where you can load or access your web page, and you can check your web page through with the help of browser. In the market, we have a lot of browsers like Google Chrome, Safari, Mozilla, Opera, and each browser have their specific rendering engine. For example, if I talk about Google Chrome, we have Blink as a rendering engine. Inside Blink, we have a Chrome V8 engine, which is responsible for running your JavaScript code. And similarly, we have SpiderMonkey for Mozilla, WebKit for Safari, and Opera is using their own rendering engine. Now we need third terminologies is a server. Like server is just like as a computer where we can upload our HTML, CSS, JavaScript code, or maybe audio file, video file, or media file, or any other document. And with the help of IP, you can access those document over the network. This is an example of server. So we use server for serving a web page to the browser, and browser having a rendering engine that will render your HTML, CSS, JavaScript code into the UI element, or you can see the website. So in the market, we have a three types of server. Like first one is web server, second one is email server, and the third one is file server. So whenever you are accessing a web page, so we have a web server. And this is a protocol we have to use, like HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol we have to use, like if you are working on web server. And the second one is email server. So we use email server for sending or receiving a mail over the network. So like here we have to work on two protocol, SMTP or post office protocol. And the third, whenever you are downloading or uploading or moving the file over the network, so we have a file server, and here we have to use FTP as a protocol. And in the market, like if you are working on specifically web server, you have to mainly work on Nginx, Apache, Microsoft IIS, and there are a lot of servers you can use. So this is a basic web fundamentals, like how we can create a website with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and we can run our web page with the help of browser, and each browser have their specific rendering engine, and that will render your HTML, CSS, JavaScript code into the UI part, and now you can able to see your website. And with the help of server, where you can access the website in different location and through the different devices. So server is just like as a computer where you can upload your HTML, CSS, JavaScript code, and with the help of IP, you can access that particular HTML, CSS, JavaScript file, and each browser have their specific rendering engine, and then you can see the website. So this is a basic web fundamental. So now I hope you have a feeling like how we can create a website, how we can check the website, and how website is working. So now let's create a website with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So let's say I have created a website name is blah blah blah, or maybe example.com. So sometimes you face this kind of issues like it's loading and you have to wait for a few seconds, and again it's loading. So there might be this might be like condition for the each developer, or like if you are in India, so that we have a low internet connections issues. So there is a conditions. So look at this guy, like if your website is loading, or your website loading time is more, user will leave the website. So generally, according to the Google, around 53% user will leave your website if it takes more than 3 seconds. So this is the most challenging task for the developers, because first one is they have to create a website, and now we need to optimize the website. So for optimizing, we have to work on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and we have to reduce the unused part of CSS, JavaScript part. So this is a huge task for the developers. First, they have to create a website, and then they have to optimize the code. They have to remove the unused part of CSS, JavaScript, or if you're working on a framework. So there is a lot of challenges related to performance, accessibilities, and unused part of CSS and JavaScript. So this is a condition for the developers. First, they need to create a website, and then there's the conditions again. So we have to optimize the code. So that's why in the market, like we have a framework. The framework is came into the picture. Name is Accelerated Mobile Pages, which is also called as AMP. So it's an open source project or a framework. With the help of AMP, you can create a super fast web pages. So it's a web component framework, and Google is using this framework, and Google has invented this particular framework for serving a search result within a millisecond. So you might have seen this thing in your day-to-day life, like whenever you are searching on Google, and within a few seconds or millisecond, you will be able to see the search result, and you can navigate it to another website. So these all are web pages is working on AMP and AMP, which is means of accelerated web page. So Google is using AMP as a technology to serving a web page in the Google search result. So with the help of AMP, you can create a website, as I told you mentioned earlier. Like these all are web pages considered as a website. And the second one is with the help of AMP, you can also create stories. Stories is just like as an Instagram type of stories. Like if you are working on WhatsApp or Instagram or maybe Snapchat or Facebook, so there is a section for the stories. So similarly, you can create your own stories in the web platform with the help of AMP. So we'll talk about AMP stories in later after few minutes. And the third one part is with the help of AMP, you can create emails. So these emails are very fast. And the fourth one part, with the help of AMP, you can also create ads. So these ads are very fast. So let's deep dive into the each part. So as I told you, like with the help of AMP, we can create a website. Website is just like as AMP pages, and these pages are very fast as compared to the standard website. So you can easily create a website with the help of AMP. So look at this image. Like in the right side, we have a regular page, and the left side we have a AMP website. So we have a comparison. Like first, the loading time and the performance is very fast. So how Google is implementing AMP as a technology to serving the search result very fast. And the second part, like as I told you, like you can create stories with the help of AMP. So these stories is just like as a Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, or maybe Snapchat or LinkedIn if you are working on, or maybe Twitter. So you can create these type of stories with the help of AMP as a technology. And one of the best thing about these stories, this is a platform independent. Like if you're working on Instagram, Twitter, or maybe WhatsApp. So for example, I have created stories on Instagram platform. So I've shared the URL for the Instagram stories, and user need to install the Instagram application for accessing that particular story. But again, like if you're working on AMP stories, so here we have a shareable URL, and you just need to copy this URL and paste it into the browser part. And on the browser, you can see the stories, and these stories are very fast. And you can create a beautiful UI with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So see how Google is using AMP story as a concept in Android. Like if you are working on Android, so we have a discover section, Google discover section. So there is a lot of AMP stories is going on. Like you can check out the search result, and or if you are working on mobile Chrome browser, you just go to the Google and then search Sundar Pichai, and then you will be able to see the story for the Sundar Pichai or maybe another celebrities. And there are not only Google, there are a lot of companies, publishers who are using AMP stories for advertising purpose or marketing purpose. So in India, like NDTV is a news marketing company, media marketing platform where NDTV team is working on AMP stories, how they are sharing the stories to the user with the help of stories as platform. So next we have AMP email. So with the help of AMP email, you can create interactive emails. Interactive emails means you can create design the email having a text area, button or radio button, and you can perform the action without navigating to the new window or new tab. Like generally, whenever we are getting an email, something for rating or getting related to, like for example, there is a rating related sections, like we can rate the sessions in the email. So there is a 3 star, so when we click on the third star, I will be redirect to the new tab, and then I can able to fill the feedback. But if you are working on AMP email as a technology, so you don't need to navigate to the new tab, you just perform actions within a mail. So how, like see how OYO rooms is using AMP email as a concept, where user need to don't need to navigate to the new tab. Within an email, you can perform actions. Let's say here user is navigating to the different rooms, and they can check the prices, they can check the rating, they can check the other features, and even you can also book your room within an email. You don't need to navigate to the new tab or new window. And similarly, how Google is using AMP email as a technology is like if you're working on Google Docs. So like someone added a comment. So in the email sections, like you got notifications and you can send like you can pass your comment in the email section without navigating to the Google Docs or any other things. The fourth part, like as I told you, like with the help of AMP you can create ads. So these ads are very fast, beautiful and high performance all across the devices and the distributed pattern. So look at this image, like GIF file or video file. So we have in the right side we have a regular ads, and the left right we have a AMP ads. So these ads are very fast and performant, and within a millisecond you can able to see the result ads, and you can track the user, or you can get the analytics data from the ads. So now let's deep dive into the AMP more. So AMP is built on three core components. First one is AMP HTML, second one is AMP JS, and the third one is AMP caches. So first one is AMP HTML. AMP HTML is a modified version of HTML tags. Like suppose if you are working on HTML platform, so we have a lots of tags. Like if you are working on image, so we need to add an image with the help of image as a tag. But if you are working on AMP, so we have a AMP hyphen image tag. So the AMP HTML is a modified version of HTML tags. So like if you want to add in video, so we have a AMP hyphen video tag. And the second one is AMP.js. AMP.js is a JavaScript library which implement all the best performance and the practices and manage the resources over the pages. Like with the help of this particular JavaScript library, you can work on AMP, HTML, AMP as a it's a JavaScript library. Okay. And the third one part is AMP caches. So basically AMP caches is which caches the page and making them faster. With the help of caches, your web page will be very fast. So let's see how we can create a AMP pages. So you can create a page, you just need to add two things, like you can create a web page or HTML document. You have a like HTML as a HTML element, and then we have a head section, and then we have a body section. So what we have to do, you just need to pass two things. Like first you need to add AMP as a HTML attribute in the HTML tag, and then second you need to load AMP.js library. And with the help of two things, like your web page will be very fast, and that's it. So see, so this is an example for AMP HTML. So we have a HTML tag, and then I have added AMP as attribute, and then in the head section I have loaded the library for the AMP.js as a library. Like if you are working on Bootstrap, so if you have an idea about Bootstrap, so you just need to load the CSS and the JavaScript library. So similarly, if you are working on AMP, we need to load the AMP.js library, and then we need to add AMP as an attribute in the HTML tag. And now this web page is much more faster than as compared to the regular page. And now you can implement or you can use AMP HTML tags. So let's say if I want to add some image in a HTML document, so we have a tag. Like if you're working on normal HTML, so we have an image tag. But now if you are working on AMP, we have a AMP hyphen image tag. Here we have attribute src, alt, height, width, and layout is equal to responsive. So you can pass this attribute, and your image will be very fast and as compared to the regular pages, regular images. And similarly, like if you want to add some image in the HTML document, so we have a video and video in the HTML document. So we have a video as an HTML doc element. But if you're working on AMP, so we have a AMP hyphen video as a HTML element. So you just need to use this HTML element, AMP hyphen video, and then we have a these all are the attributes like controls, width, height, layout is equal to responsive, and then source part. So and similarly, if you want to add some image YouTube video, so you just need to use AMP hyphen YouTube. So there are a lot of these HTML component, AMP HTML component. You can use these component. You can just copy the component and then paste into the HTML doc of AMP, and you can try. So there is a lot website amp.dev. You can check out the website, and we have a component as a sections. So like if you want to add some sidebar, so we have a sidebar for the AMP. We have a like list related AMP HTML component, There are a lot of components related to analytics, getting data. So you can use these type of components. So I'll share my entire screen and will show you how we can create a AMP pages. So I'll deep dive. So okay, can we have a screen on the page? Yeah. Okay, so like as I told you, like we have a website am.dev. So I'll just go to the website am.dev, and this is the website. Okay, so this is a website. AMP is a web component framework where, with the help of AMP, you can create a user-first experience for the web technology. And with the help of AMP, you can create a AMP website, stories, emails, and the ads. So now let's deep dive into the AMP website first. So I'll click on the Get Started button, and then we have a documentation for the AMP website. I'll click on the AMP website, and then you can follow the documentation. So I'll click on the Get Started button, and this is the documentation. So first, what I'll do, I'm using VS Code editor, how we can create a website. So this is the IDE, and I have added a folder in the workspace, and now we have an image. So we have two images. So I'll create a new file. So let's say I'll create a new file, index.html. So this is a HTML document. So I can work on HTML. So we have a syntax. So this is a basic syntax for the HTML. So we have HTML document as a HTML tag, and then we have a head section, and these all are the metadata, and this is a title for the web page. And here we can define the h1, let's say, and HTML. And then we can create a paragraph. So we have a paragraph as a tag, and we can use Lorem. And now we can run the web page with the help of live server. So I have a live server, so I'm just using live server, and I can see the HTML documents. So this is a normal HTML document. If you want to add some image, so you can also add some image. So I'll just uh, like in the image, so we have an image as a tag, and then we have a src as a attribute. We just need to navigate to the image, and then we have a tf.image. So you can use this image, and then we have an image. And also you can apply some css with the help of style as a uh, attribute. And here we can define the style, which is equal to, let's say, 40%. And I'll save and then reload, so it's working. This is a normal HTML page. Now I want to convert this HTML page into the AMP. So what I'll do, I'll just add, first thing, I'll add AMP as an attribute in the HTML tag. So this is a HTML tag. So I will add AMP as a HTML attribute. And the second part I will load the AMP.js library. So I'll go to the documentation. So this is my documentation. So we have a AMP.js library. So this is a code for the AMP.js library. I'll just copy this code and I will paste it here. Okay, so now my web page is very fast because this page is working on AMP. And I'll go to the inspect element, inspect Chrome DevTools, and in the console part, and this is showing powered by AMP. HTML version is this one, and this web page is very fast. Okay, so now I'm working on AMP. So you can use standard HTML tag, but in the HTML, in the AMP, we have a lot of tags. Like if you want to add some images, so you can use AMP image as a tag. So like we have, if I'm working on AMP, so we have AMP hyphen image tag. Okay, so inside AMP, we have a attributes, let's say style, not a this one. You can use this one, src, for adding an image. We can define the width, it's totally up to you. So I'll define a style. So let's say style is equal to width is equal to 40%. Or you can directly add an attribute, let's say width or height. So you can define a width, let's say for width is equal to 400 pixels, and the height is equal to 200 pixels. And then there is a one more attribute, which is name is layout. So here you need to pass layout is equal to responsive. I will save and then reload the page, and this is AMP web page. Okay, so the size of this is too much, so I'll just go to the 200 pixels and hide maybe 150 pixels. save and then reload the page. So this is normal. Okay. Now, like these web pages is responsive, so it's working fine, and we have a web page which is hosted on uh, working on AMP as a HTML as a technology. So now we have a section in, if you go to the documentation, and then we have a components. So there are a lot of components you can use, like there are a lot of built-in components. Like if you want to add some list, you just need to use AMP has a list as a this HTML component, or if you want to use AMP carousel, you can also use this one. So I'll go to the documentation, I'll go to this website, and then we'll click on the next button. And then if, for example, if you want to add some card carousel related components, so card carousel is just like as a group of cards. So this is a I'll just copy this library, and I will load this library here. Now I want to implement card carousel, so we have a this HTML tag, so amp base carousel. I'll just copy this one part, and I will paste in after HTML, and then reload the page. So we have a card carousel. Okay, so I'll just go to the mobile size, and it's working fine. So here we have a card carousel. So this is very easy. There are a lot of components. You can go to the components, or here we have a component section, or here we have examples. So I'll click on the example part, and then we have playground. So you can go to the playground and playground, where you can check out the demo. So here we have a demo. So if you want to use the component, let's say uh, yeah, Facebook. So this is an example how we can use amp hyphen Facebook as a component, and here we can get the data about the Facebook. Yeah, so here we have a data about the Facebook post. And there are a lot of tags, like if you want to implement sidebar, so here we have a amp hyphen sidebar as HTML tag in the amp. See, this is a sidebar. You can also implement this sidebar. You just need to add few things, like first you need to load the library for the sidebar, and the second you just need to load use the code HTML code for the sidebar. And here we have a tons of component. If you want to use any other components, you can go to. So we have a style mode, dark mode, and you can do that. So now I'll talk about the next part is for the stories. So first, like as I told you, like with the help of AMP, we can create a stories. So if you can go to the Google search result of a mobile browser, so if you can search like Sundar Pichai or any other celebrities or any other news, so we have a section in the Google search result, and these are working on AMP stories. And if you can click, and you can directly check out the stories. So AMP Stories is just like as a full experience, full screen visual storytelling experience, like which is working on web technologies. Like you can create a stories with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And if you know, like you have an idea about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can do anything. Like you can add animation, you can add content, you can add videos, you can add GIF file, you can add images. So you can create interactive stories with the help of AMP stories as a concept. So why AMP stories? First one is you can create beautiful and engaging stories with the help of AMP. And the second one part is shareable URL. Like these stories are working on web platform. So you this is, let's say I have created these stories. I have created my stories. This is AMP stories, which is working on web platform. So this stories is, for example, we can create a resume. So here is my resume, here is my project, and here is my, let's say, tech format as a YouTube channel, and then we have a contact section. And these stories are very fast. If I'll go to the mobile screen, so let's say I'm going to the mobile screen, so it will automatically go to the Instagram tag of stories. And then in the last section, so we have a button for the shareable URL, so I can share this stories. I just need a browser, and I can open these stories in the web platform, and that's it. So And the third one part is this is very fast because it's working on AMP, and you can create immersive storytelling experience with the help of AMP story as a concept. So let's see how we can create AMP stories. So you can create AMP stories. You just need to add first understand the fundamental. So as I told you, like we can create an AMP page. Just need to add two things like AMP as an attribute in the HTML tag, and the second one is you need to load AMP.js library, and then we have a AMP HTML as a component. You can use these all are the components in the website. And now we are working on AMP stories. So AMP story, similarly, AMP story is a HTML component, HTML tags, and you just need to understand the architecture of your AMP story. So first we have a stories. So we can create as AMP stories with the help of AMP-story as a HTML tag. And each story can have a multiple pages. So you can create a page with the help of AMP story hyphen page as HTML tag. And then each page can have a multiple layer. So you can create a layer with the help of AMP story create layer as HTML attribute tag. And the next part, if you are working on a layer, so you can create you can add an element, you can add image file, audio file, video file, text file. You can add multiple elements on the layer. So this is the architecture about AMP stories. First we need to use AMP story as a HTML tag. Inside we can create a multiple pages. So we can create a page with the help of AMP story as a HTML AMP story page as a HTML element. And then we have a part for layer. So each page can have a multiple layer. So you can create a single layer or you can create a multiple layers. It's totally up to you. So let's say I have created a layer. You can create a layer with the help of AMP story create hyphen layer. And each layer you can add multiple elements. So I'll show you the example. So this is a story have a multiple pages. So right now this story have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have 4 pages. So we can create a pages with the help of AMP story hyphen page as a HTML element. And then let's say this is a story. This story this page have a multiple layers. So first layer is a image, second layer is a text. So you can do that. So you can create a layer with the help of AMP story hyphen create layer, and then you can add an image. You can add an image with the help of AMP image, AMP video. You can add a video, and you can add some text. It's totally up to you. So now I'll show you the code architecture. So this is as I told you, like first we have a AMP story as HTML tag, and then we have to use standalone as HTML attribute, and then you can create a multiple pages. So let's say I'm creating a first page. So this is my first page is AMP story hyphen page, and here you can define the ID. So let's say ID is page 1. And then you can create a layer. So you can create a layer with the help of AMP story create layer as HTML HTML element. And then we have a property or HTML attribute for this particular HTML tag. Template is equal to vertical. So I'll show you how we can implement these stories later. So first we need to load AMP stories JavaScript library, and then we need to use AMP story as HTML tag, and then we can create. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the AMP story as a website, amp.dev as a website. And this is a website. I'll go to the get started by documentation. And then we have a section for the AMP stories. So I'll click on the AMP story part. Or I have created this repository. I'll share this repository. So here we have a repository. So if you want to create an AMP story, so I'll share. I have created a documentation, or you can check out these documents. It's totally up to you. So here we have a understanding so how we can create our AMP stories. And first we need to load AMP.js as a library. So I have loaded already. I have added the AMP.js library. So I'll just remove the entire code. Here I will remove the code body section, and then we have a AMP.js library. Now we need to load the JavaScript library for AMP story. So I'll just copy this code and I will paste it just after AMP story. Okay, so this is first JavaScript library for the AMP.js, and second JavaScript library for stories. Okay, now we can create a stories with the help of AMP story as a HTML tag. So here we have a AMP story as a HTML tag. and here you need to pass am story as HTML tag, and then we have a standalone as attribute. So I will reload the page, and now we have a structure. Okay, so we have a section, and this is kind of working structure. Now we have created the stories. Now we need to create a page. So let's create a page. So I'll create a page, let's say home page. I'll add a comment, and how we can create a page and M story. So we have a documentation, and so this is HTML documentation. So we have a HTML element m story hyphen page, and we need to close this HTML document element here. And here how we can create a pages. So this is the first page, and let's say I'll create another page. This page is for the project, so I'll create a portfolio, technical portfolio for myself. So project, and then third one part is for the technical skills. So here we can add tech skills. So I'll just copy this comment, and I will paste it here. And the last one part is for the contact. So I'll just copy this one, and I will paste it here. And then we have a contact. I will save, and then we have a structure. Now we have added a page. So now we have a page. First page is home page. We have passed this ID as a cover, and second one is for the project. So here you can define the ID, and then here we have a tech skills. So here you can define this ID as a tech skills, and then we have a next page is for the contact. So here we can define the ID as a contact. I will save, and then these all are the pages is working. Now we have a home page, then we have a next page is project, and then we have a technical skills page, and the next page is for the contact. And this is a skeleton, and it's working fine. Now we haven't added anything in this particular pages. Now how we can add a work on the pages. So now we have a grid layer. So like as I told you, like in NM stories, like first we can create AMP stories with the help of AMP story as HTML tag, and then we can create a multiple pages with the help of AMP story as HTML AMP story page as HTML tag, and then each pages can have a multiple layer. So you can create a layer with the help of AMP stories grid layer. Okay, so I'll just copy this one, and I will in the home page I will add this code. Okay, so this is the HTML tag, and here we need to close this HTML tag. So this is a grid layer, and then we have passed this property template is equal to fill. Okay, so here let's say I want to add some image. So you can add image with the help of amp hyphen image as HTML tag, and here you can pass the link. So here, let's say working on image, and then we have file name is, let's say, cover.png. So I'll add cover.png, and then we have a, like here you can define the style. Let's say width is equal to 720 pixels, or you can define the width. Let's say width is equal to 1080 pixels, and here you can define the height. So here we have a height is equal to 1920 pixels, and then we have a second property. Next property is layout is equal to responsive. So I will save, and then I'll just go to the page. So now we have a one layer in the page. So this is a layer, and inside layer we have a HTML element and image. So here we have a amp. So similarly you can create a layer for each pages. So here I will create a layer for the project page, and here for the technical skills, here we'll post this one, and then you can create a layer for the contact page. Okay, now we have created a layer. So as I told you, like first we have created this layer. So each pages can have a multiple layer. So let's say this is layer is one, layer one. Okay, so here we are closing this layer. So here we have a layer one. Okay, now how we can add a text. So you can add a text. So first, I'll talk about the template is equal to field about this property. So now, like as I told you, like in the AMP story create layer, we have a attribute as a template, and here we are passing fill as a value. So here we can pass multiple values. So if you want to arrange the element, like if you have only one element and you want to arrange the element as a full screen, so you can use template is equal to fill, or you can arrange the element in the vertically. You just need to pass template is equal to vertical, or if you want to arrange the element in the horizontal format, so you just need to pass horizontal. And the third next layout is thirds. You just need to pass template is equal to thirds, and then you can do that. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the documentation. Here we have am stories documentation, and I'll directly jump to the creating a cover page, not a cover page, here. Yeah. So here we have an example like how we can create a template is equal to fill. So we have a am story create layer as HTML element, and then we have pass template is equal to fill. So this image will be 100%. And similarly, if you have a multiple elements, so let's say here in the project section, I'll pass template is equal to vertical. So here we have a vertical, and then here we can add a project. So I'll create a div section, and then let's say h2, and here we have a project, and then here you can define another div, and here you can pass the value. So this one is project name, and then we have a paragraph, and here you can pass Laura Plipson. It's totally up to you. Project description, and also you can define the button for the action. So you can define the button, let's say see more, and I will save, and I'll reload the page. So now we have a second page, and this is a part. And also you can also design the page, like this is a am story page. Here you can define the style. So let's say I'm providing a background color is equal to white, or white. So I will save, and then we have a white page, and a project is a heading, and then we have a projects, and these stories are amazing. Like you can check out these stories on the mobile platform. Now I'll add another div element. So you can add multiple div elements, or you can apply style. So you can add a style, let's say margin from top is equal to 2 pixels, and margin from bottom 2 pixels. So I'll save, and there is a margin, or you can pass 2 pixels to maybe 5 pixels, and yes, you just need to pass 10 pixels. I think 10 pixels. Yeah, it's fine. Now you can create a multiple div element for the projects. So you can do that. So now we have a three projects. So here, so we have a second page for the project, and first page having an image. So now this is a project page. Now, as I told you, like we could create a multiple layers. So in the first page, we have a first layer. So let's see how we can create another layer. So I'll create a layer two. I'll just copy and comment, and I will create a layer. So how we can create a layer? So we have a amp story create layer as a HTML attribute, HTML tag. So I'll just copy this HTML tag and then close. And this is a second layer. So now I need to add the element, for example, in this particular format. So here we need to use template is equal to third. So I'll just pass template is equal to third. Okay. So let's say here I will add my name. So here I will add Vrijraj Singh, and let's say I want to show the Vrijraj in the third part. Like this is a third layout in the bottom. So here we need to use grid area is equal to lower third. So I'll just copy, and I will paste it here. So I'll save, and then this is Vrijraj is showing. So we can change the color. So I can change the color with the help of style as a tag, and then we have a color property, and you can change the color, and then we have a Vrijraj. Okay. So similarly, you can add a paragraphs. Let's say I'll add GDE for web and Firebase. I'll save and then reload. So it's working DD for web and Firebase, but it's showing on the top. So here you just need to copy this one part and you can paste it here. So now it's collapsing. So what you can do here, you can create a div element and you can pass this as a grid area is equal to lower third, and then you can pass this thing in this particular div element, and you can remove grid area, and similarly you can also remove this one part, and now we have a p tag and h1. Now it's working fine. Okay, so you can also change the color, so it's totally up to you how we can change the color with the help of style, or you can use the classes. So I'll just copy this one and I will paste it here, and then we have a Vrijraj and GD for this one. And you can also add some bio small descriptions, so you can write some small descriptions. So it's totally up to you how you can add some small descriptions. So we have a small description. So here I'll just copy this one and I will paste it here. Okay. So now in the first page we have created two layer. First layer, template is equal to fill. Template is equal to fill means we have an image and the width of the image will be 100% full screen. And then second layer, we can create a second layer. You have a tag am story grid layer, and then you need to pass a property template is equal to third, and this is a layout. Okay, so I have added the content. So I have created a div element, and then we have a grid area for the third, and I want to show the content lower third in the bottom, and then we have a name, heading, paragraph and paragraph, and this is how it's working. Now next part is for the skills. You can design the skills, like you can create a layer. So if we have a layer template is equal to fill, here you can define the div element. Here you can add a HTML property. So we have a skills, technical skills. Here you can define the skills. Like for example, you can mention, you can create a list view, an order list. So we have a list, like you can pass HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It's totally up to you how you can show. I'm not focusing on the design part. Like you can add multiple things, like you can add a classes or you can do that. Okay, so now we have a layer and then we have a div element, and here you can pass the style. Let's say I'm passing the style uh, padding. So padding is equal to maybe 10 pixels. So I will save, and then we have a padding for the 10 pixels. Okay, or you can use template is equal to fill. So here we have a template is equal to vertical, so you can do that. So I'll just copy and I will paste, and then we have a template is equal to vertical. So second one is for the skill section, or you can remove this particular style tag, and yeah, it's working. So you can change the color, you can apply the CSS, like here we have a style and then we have a background color is equal to, let's say, white, and then we have a white. Okay, so first page cover page, second page project page, third page technical skills, and the fourth page you can do with the help of I'll just copy this one entire logic and I will paste here read layer as a contact. Okay, so I'll just pass this one. Now we have a like this one is for the contact, so I'll just add contact, and here you can mention the links, let's say LinkedIn. Next one is for the Twitter, or you can mention the GitHub, or you have a website, so you can mention the website. So I'll just remove this one part, and you can add an anchor text, so it's totally up to you. So this is how we can create a stories, and these stories are very fast. So if I'll go to the mobile size, so it will look like this one, or if I change to the pixel size, so yeah, it's fine. Now we can share these stories. We have a shareable URL, so I'll just copy the URL, and then or if you have a share button, you can share these stories. And again, I suggest you to go to the documentation first. Like in the AM stories, so we have a documentation. You can also add animation. Now I'll show you how we can add animations. So for adding animations, so we have a tag animate in, and then we have a lot of animations. So I'll just go to the documentation, then we have a section for the animating elements, and then we have a lot this type of animations like drop, fade in, fly in bottom, fly in, this type of animations. So for example, if I want to add some animations, so we have a attribute, HTML attribute, so animate in. So I'll just copy this attribute. So I'll go to the first page. So this is my first page. I'll just comment this one part, and I'll go to the first page, and then we have a name Vrijraj. Here we can pass the animate in, and then here we can pass the property. So let's say I want to show fly in top. I will pass fly in top, and then so I'll jump to the first stories, and Vrijraj is moving from name is moving from top to bottom, or you can mention bottom to this one. Okay, so you can pass this animation in the HTML elements. So we have HTML elements. Now it's fine. So there is an animation, smooth animations. So you can apply the animations. Similarly, you can apply the animation for the project section. So we have a project name. So here you can pass animation. There are a lot of animations. It's totally up to you. Right, rotate in right. So I'll just copy this animation and I will paste. And let's see. So we have a rotation like from the right, projects is text is coming. So you can design the web page, you can create your portfolio. This portfolio will be amazing. Like these, this is very fast, and like this will look like something is different you have done. So like first we have a cover page, and the second one part is for the project, and the third one part is for the skills, and the fourth part is for the contact. Here you can mention the HTML links, like paragraph or anchor tag you can use. Okay, and now I'll show you how we can deploy this particular website on these stories. So we have created this entire HTML block. So you can deploy these stories on GitHub, or you can use Firebase. So I'll show you how we can deploy these M stories on Firebase. So I'll go to the Firebase. This is a website, firebase.google.com. I'll just go to my account, this one. Yeah. So I'll just go to the Firebase project. This is account. So I'll create a new project in the Firebase. So let's say I'll create a project amp hyphen cb coding blocks. Okay, and here we can have pass app. Okay, so here we have a project ID, and then we'll click on the continue button, and then we are not working on Google Analytics part, so you can disable this one part and then click on the create project. And meanwhile, you need to install Node.js in your system for hosting this website on Firebase. So you just need to install Node.js, and then you need to install Firebase CLI. So this is a command, Firebase CLI npm install Firebase tools, or you can search Firebase CLI. So this is a Firebase CLI. You just need to install this CLI in your system. So here we have a guide. So you just need to install with the help of this command npm install -g Firebase CLI -tools. Okay, so now my project is created. So this is my project dashboard. So I'll click on the web. This is the iOS, Fire, Android, and then we have a web. And then I'll click on the registered application. So here we have a application name is amp-cb hyphen, let's say, app, and I'll select this one for the hosting, and then click on the registered application. Okay, so now I'm done. Next button, and next, and then go to the console. So now what I'll do, I'll just go to the terminal. So this is my VS Code editor terminal, and I need to install Node.js. So I have already installed the Node.js in my system, and then we need to install Firebase CLI. So you can install Firebase CLI with the help of this command npm install -g Firebase -tools. So with the help of this command, you can install Firebase CLI. So as I already installed Firebase CLI in my system, I just need to log in Firebase CLI with my Google account. So I'll click on type this command Firebase login, and you need to wait for a few seconds. I have some. I think it will take a few minutes. Yeah, so it's showing I have already logged in. You just need to open this, run this command in your VS Code editor, and then you can authenticate your Google account with Firebase CLI. And then you need to run next command is for Firebase init for initializing the Firebase project. So I'll run this command Firebase init for initializing the Firebase project. And then this will ask, are you ready to proceed? Yes, I'm ready to proceed. And these all are the services Firebase is providing. So I'm using Firebase Hosting as a service. I'll select Firebase Hosting with the help of spacebar and then press enter. And then it will ask for the project. So I have already created a project. So I'll go for use an existing project. So I'll click on press enter. And then we have a project name is uh, amcb hyphen app. So I'll press enter, and then this will ask the directory. So this is a directory name where you can upload or you put your JavaScript, HTML, CSS code into the directory, and Firebase CLI will like collect these as file from this particular directory and will going to deploy. So here you can mention the public directory. It's totally up to you. So here you can mention the public as a directory name, and then this will ask for the single page application. So I'm not working on single page applications, so I'll say n. And second part is for the GitHub CI CD parts, continuous integration deployments related things. So I'm not working on it. So I'll type and then press enter. And now my Firebase CLI is ready. So we have some configuration file. So now what I'll do, I'll go to the directory. So this is a file explorer, and inside uh, public directory, so we have a by default file. So I'll just remove this file, and in the base root directory I have an image folder and I have an index.html file. So I'll just move this file into the public directory. Okay, so now it's working. Now what I want to do, I want to check how my website is working. So we just need to run this command Firebase surf. You can check your website on the hosting part, how your website will look like in the local machine, in the hosting part as a local machine. So you just need to run this command. You can serve your website in the local machine. So this is a URL localhost colon 5000. So I'll just go to the web page and then we'll run localhost colon 5000, and this is a web page. So it's working. Now we need to deploy the website. So how we can deploy the website, I'll just cancel the terminal, or you can cancel one, and here you can need to type Firebase Deploy, and that's it. So with the few command, first we need to initialize the project, and then you need to create a directory, and then here in the directory you need to put your HTML, CSS, JavaScript code, and then you need to run this command Firebase Deploy, and that's it. So your website is going to be deployed from the public directory, and there will be a URL. So this is a URL. So you just need to copy this URL, or you can open this URL on a browser. So I'll click on this one, and yeah. So this is a URL. So again, this web page is very fast, and yeah. So you can share this web page with your friend. Like you have created a fastest portfolio website, and this is super fast, and this one is interactive, and yeah. So this is the new way how you can create a website. So moving to the next part, so you can add animations. As I told you, like there are a lot of animations like zoom in, pan up, zoom out, pan down. So you can use any another animations. So like two more about AMP, how we can implement AMP stories, AMP pages, AMP email, AMP advertisement. You just need to go to the website am.dev. So this is a website am.dev, and here we have a documentation. So I'll just, yeah. So this is a website am.dev, and then we have a documentation for amp website, for amp stories, amp email, amp ads, and this is a website. So I'm open for the questions. Like if you have any questions, you can ask your question. I'll share my slide. Okay, so you can customize, you can run the media query. It's totally up to you how you can specify the width and height. It's totally up to you. You can reuse media query. You can use important as a CSS property, so you can do that. Or if you're working on Bootstrap, you can also use Bootstrap heap system. It's totally up to you how you can utilize these technologies and the frameworks. You can use React. Like in the React, we have a index.h public directory, and then we have an index.html. So first you need to load am.js as a JavaScript library, and then we have a am.js component. You just need to use that component. Recently, Mintra is working on AM stories. So Mintra.com. This is a clothing website. So they have migrated that website into the AMP. So they are also working on uh, the front end framework. So you can check out the website. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Can we have a slide on the screen? Yeah. So that's all from my end. I have a YouTube channel. You can also refer the videos for the AM stories, how we can create AM stories. So we have a channel Tech Ferment. You can go to the website, YouTube, and then search Tech Ferment, and then you can get the documentation or video tutorial about Firebase and web technology and AMP. And yeah, that's all from my end. Thank you so much, and thank you Coding Block and Sohail for having me. And yeah, bye. Take care. Good night.